Hey you like Stickmen? No, well, I know I sure do. The concept of a Stickman is really simple. It's really not that hard to create one. All it is just bing bang, boom boom. The concept of a Stickman is really cool to me. They've been around since the Stone Age of the internet. And when I mean Stone Age, I mean like since Newgrounds. You know, the site where a bunch of people in their 40s pray every night that the 2000s would happen again. And the one thing that Stickmen are usually known for is Stickman fights, Stickman animations, etc, etc. So what happens when you create something so versatile, so uncomplex, and so simple? Well, you get Stickman animations. Growing up, by like 8 inches, I watched a lot of Stickman animations, more notably from people like Tom Scott and Heian Dojo, Alan Becker, etc. Now, how are these people related? They are! Well, not exactly. Since indie animation was getting popular on the internet like Newgrounds, it was time for something new to happen, so a lot of animators migrated to YouTube. More notably, people like Swoozy, The Odd Ones, Out, Let Me Explain Studios, Jaden Animation, Alex Clark, Something Else YT, Ice Cream Sandwich, Haminations, Birdie Animates, Infamous Look or Something YT, and Junkie Jinker before he became an absolute piece of Anywho, since animation was already getting pretty big on the internet as a whole, a new type of Stickman animations were coming around. These being Storytime animators. The reason why I'm referring to Storytime animators as Stickman animators is because a lot of the original Storytime animators, people like the Odd Ones Out and Swoozy, started off with little blobs and Stickman as their character that they use for their videos. Trust me, this is really relevant. And as the name of Storytime animators suggests, they make Storytime animations. 99.9% of the time, it's usually from personal experiences, like going to the dentist, school stories, dog injuries. What? Seriously, what the daycare stories? Part 2, of course. And so many other goofy and quirky stories. Recently, Storytime animation as a genre as we know it has died down a little bit, if that makes sense. You can only go so far about talking about the fact that you wanted to date your babysitter until it becomes boring and repetitive. January 25th, 2022. The day that would change the world forever. On that day, a creator named Mostly True uploaded his best performing video with over 11 million views and 1 million likes. That video being called The 7 Levels of High. The 7 levels of high is exactly what it sounds like. It's describing each level that you go through when you're high after smoking that Anyway, now I have to give props to Mostly True for creating the brain rot of the century and also having an actually good personality in his videos. I know it may seem a little bit biased considering the fact that he's the person that started this trend of smoking Stickmen. However, unlike most stoner Stickmen, he actually has a really cool personality. And unlike most smoking Stickmen animators, he's actually funny. Wow! The video's layout is really simple. It's just a Stickman explaining the 7 levels of high. And when he talks about something specific, he makes a drawing of that exact same scenario. Picture this. I'm talking about the fact that there was a high school friend group of like 3 kids, and all the kids were celebrating because they won the lottery or something, so they're all holding hands like this. It's a really simple layout. And when the creator doesn't feel like drawing any more drawings, they usually just revert back to the start of the video. Usually a sketch of their already existing model. Something like this. Now, as I was talking about previously, the layout of these videos is really simple. It's not that difficult to make one. You just draw a crude Stickman and get a basic topic like smoking at 9 years old or something. So, back on topic. Although Mostly True created the genre, it didn't really pop off until one fateful day. Do you guys by any chance remember the name Tag Swags? Tag Swags was a YouTuber who was notoriously known for, before he deleted his entire channel, for stealing others' content. He was a commentary YouTuber at first, and the main people that he stole content from were from people like Pegasus. Pegasus was a commentary YouTuber, well, still is a commentary YouTuber, who made very similar content to Tag Swags, even though it was really obvious that Tag Swag stole most of his content from Pegasus. Or at least thumbnails and video ideas, sure. So after being in a controversy with Pegasus after stealing his content, and afterwards still making the garbage commentary content, Tag Swags just mysteriously disappears from the internet. Now, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, as I don't really have much information on when he disappeared. But I want to say either around June or July of 2023, he just deleted his channel. Now, why am I talking about some random crappy commentary YouTuber when we should be talking about this smoking stickman creator named Birdie? Well, that's because they're the same person. Now, how was 99.9% of the stuff that I just said is related to his new channel, Birdie? Well, that's because it's ironic. He deleted his main channel, or at least all the videos from his main channel, to not only focus on Birdie, but make new and original content. But even after getting called out for making unoriginal content, he makes a new channel to make even more unoriginal content, and still got way more views than he ever did with his original channel. Now, going on topic, Birdie started his channel with the first ever video on there being called Getting High When You Wake Up. Now, I don't want to repeat myself, so just think about what I said about Mostly True and just take the same for Birdie. Now, although Birdie didn't pop off with one hit wonder and then never got popular again, which was basically Mostly True's story, and even if I did say that, it definitely wouldn't be true, as his most popular video only has 2 million views. He is the first one to not only popularize the trend of smoking stickmen, but also be the first one to be consistent with views. Now, this could be because of his previous channel, however, I do highly doubt that. Now, remember how I said Birdie is the creator that popularized smoking stickman content, even though he wasn't the first one to do it? And to be completely honest, he wasn't the one that most people are inspired by. He is definitely one of the most popular, including the fact that he has collabed with other big YouTubers like Royal Pronto and this one I got it! Oh my god, I don't know it! For your sanity, don't ask why I did that. Anyway, so I will give props to Birdie for not milking the first ever subject of his video for the rest of his channel's career, because dear God, people know what these types of creators do when they find their hands on a reusable subject multiple times. However, something weird started happening. We're gonna talk about one more clone. Now, before I say anything, I just want to say Chains for Real is the one that made Stickman clone content what it is. The extreme levels of edginess and crudeness, the lack of originality, lack of knowledge on certain topics, just to get a quick view, and showing that you don't need actual talent to become a YouTuber. The reason why I'm so harsh on Chains right now is because, unlike the other two I mentioned, they actually are pretty cool creators. And they don't get repetitive, for the most part at least. But removing that garbage out the way, at least with the other two and a few other clones that I just didn't want to mention, at least they have a variety of repetitive content, like they sometimes go back and forth. With Chains, it's one thing, just one thing after the other. 3 levels of being high. The 7 levels of being drunk. Types of drunk people. When you get too high. Going to school high. Types of high people. Too high in public. Running from the cops while high. Being drunk and high. High thoughts. High thoughts 2. High thoughts 3. What's next? Getting high while pregnant. And before any of you smoking stickman meat writers say something like, ooh, well, they're not actually clones of each other, they're just niches. There's a difference between straight up copying video ideas and just having a niche. For example, I'm not entirely sure what this genre is called, but I'm just direct conversation commentary. Like I said, I'm not sure what it's called, so like if that name sounds stupid, that's not my fault. The reason why I'm calling this a niche in smoking stickman clone content, well, clones, is simply because of the fact that they're obviously based off of one another. Like, for example, when one smoking stickman clone uploads a video about smoking, getting high, and eating edibles at the same time, the rest will follow. They all overlay each other's formulas. Like, they're exactly the same, minus like a differently styled stickman. Like the outlines are slightly thinner. I know I'm gonna have a hard time explaining this, so whiteboard
Joey
time.
made a popular video that got 1.4 million views on YouTube and got him 2.8 million subscribers. While his friend Skibbity Tom saw the success that video got, and he wanted to have something similar like that, so he decided to take some inspiration. Let's say Skibbity Tom liked some of the video editing style, so he took inspiration from the video editing style by making it somewhat similar. But the video itself is 99% original, besides the editing style being somewhat inspired. So Skibbity Tom walks away and goes back to his house to make a video that hopefully gets popular as he uploads However, Joey's evil friend Duke Dennis saw the popularity that the video got, and he wanted to get some of that popularity too without putting in any effort. So he decided to just steal the idea. Not only does the video have the exact same editing style and around the same topics, but it changes nothing from the person he was quote-unquote inspired by. So thanks to Skibbity Tom being overall original and a pretty nice creator, he got 100,000 subs and got a whole lot of views, while Duke Dennis got quite literally no subscribers and just copied everything word for word, bar for bar. Aren't I great at storytelling? Now that I've explained everything you need to know about the origins of smoking stickmen, it's time we get into uncharted territory. Before I explain this getting high aspect of everything, I want to tell you the 3 things most stickmen clones try to do. Like, what they try to copy off of each other. Those 3 things being smoking, high school, and girls. Little bit of slander. Most of them dropped out of high school and they get no girls. And I'm not necessarily sure if this counts, but they talk a lot about generations like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which I will get on later throughout this video. Anyway, back on topic, I want to say the peak around when a lot of these stickman clones started popping up, like Nick Cannon Offsprings. I want to say around maybe late 2022 to mid to late 2023. And going off topic, once more, a lot of these stickman clones try to justify their copying accusations with saying something stupid like it's a niche and they're not copying each other, which is stupid on its own, because with that little stupid short animation diagram that I made earlier about the difference between taking inspiration and just straight up copy, there's a difference between having a little niche and taking inspiration from others and then just straight up copying one another. Wait, what was this chapter about again? Oh yeah, right, the obsessive amounts of videos that they have of getting high. Okay. So remember how I said they have 3 types of content that they make, which is getting high, school, and girls? Well, yeah, first one we're going to be talking about is getting high. A lot of these smoking stickman creators start off with just making their basic video about getting high. That's literally every single last one of their videos and how they start off. Or at least their first videos, at least. If you don't believe me, Birdie only has like 1 or 2 videos about getting high, and it was unironically his first video on that channel. And to be completely honest, all of their videos are about getting high, with the occasional talking about types of high school stereotypes and girls. Now, I just want to say, before I officially start this chapter, I just want to say I have no problem if you make high school content or that's your primary source of content. I really don't care. You can make whatever type of content you like. However, once that content starts to get repetitive and clickbaity and boring and it just starts to suck, that's when I have a problem with it. Anywho, smoking stickmen have a plethora of smoking stickmen high school content with stuff like types of kid in high school, types of girls in high school, plethora of etceteras, a plethora of etceteras, a plethora of etceteras. And these videos usually contain stuff like what they sound like, types of certain stereotypes. Like the hot Cheeto girl, never seen that before. The nerd. The emo kid. A plethora of etceteras, a plethora of etceteras, a plethora of etceteras. Now, a personal problem I have with these videos is the fact that They are extremely out of touch.
Like, dude, so first we're gonna be talking about the white girl.
So we got like 18 types of white girl. We got the country white girl, the popular white girl, the city white girl, the wannabe black white girl.
Basically, these the type of girls to be existed, and these girls kind of bad too. Like for real. So like, dude, have you talked to these people before? Do you even know them? Or are you a weird stalker that analyzes people for your mediocre YouTube videos? And just like how I was talking about them getting high, it's nothing different from each other. They all make the same type of content. It's, how do I put this, a gimmick, a repetitive gimmick in some sort of cosmic way, with little to nothing changing from the original creator that they most likely copied from. And that original creator that they most likely copied from did the exact same thing with another creator, and vice versa. Or we're just gonna keep looping it, at least. From the way how the video starts, to the climax middle, to the end, there's nothing different. If you don't believe me, I changed the videos on those 3 videos that I just showed 3 times, and those were all the beginning, climax, and the eventual ending. Nothing changes throughout the video. It's literally the exact same thing, copied off of each other. Now, at least they don't advertise these videos as a way to, I don't know, quote-unquote, putting people onto the truths about high school. Now, earlier in the video, I said whether or not if I should add this, because, you know, not a lot of smoking stickman clones really talk about it, per se. However, the ones that do talk about it, let's just say those types of videos aren't really good either. These videos being the generation videos, like Generation Alpha or Generation Z. Now, the reason why I was debating whether or not if I should put this in the video is because there really isn't much to talk about here. However, I'm still putting it in anyway. Now, the problem I have with these generation videos that these guys make is for one simple reason. They have no idea what they're talking about. These videos of theirs usually consist of Zoomer Doomer Boomers, real words by the way, talking about how Gen Z and Generation Alpha are doomed because of some stupid minute details. Generation Alpha is doomed because they like watching the amazing digital circus. Generation Z is doomed because they're too soft. They wouldn't last a day in the 80s. Like, shut up! These videos are usually mean-spirited garbage that has any effort or that has barely any effort or really real thought put into them. And some of the fans of these types of content creators on these specific videos, they take whatever the creator is saying as facts. Like, let's read some of the comments on some of these videos, for example. These ones are from a Generation Alpha video by Birdie's second channel, Birdie. As one of the older Gen Alpha kids, I am grateful that I didn't grow up as a toddler with electronics everywhere. As a older Gen Alpha, I appreciate that you specified a younger Gen Alpha. I am a Gen Z born in 2005, and based on experience, I had a great childhood. I actually enjoy playing outside alone or with friends. I usually play basketball with my neighbors. Occasionally, I climb trees. The first time I got my own tablet, but I still prefer playing with my toys. I was limited to 1 hour of screen time a day anyway. Unrelated garbage. There is this one time when my Gen Alpha younger brother talked about Skibbity Toilet to me. And I was like, what the is a Skibbity Toilet? He still enjoys going outside and watching TV though. As part of younger Gen Z, older Gen Alpha 2010, I completely missed out on fun toys. I remember playing Skylanders on my Wii or playing Animal Crossing on my Nintendo DS without any time off of it except to eat, go to bed, or go to school. It really stunted my communication skills, all because I was spending all my time indoors away from other people. I'm just finding out how fun puzzles are and working on stuff I missed out on not having physical toys, such as motor skills, as I also have a few joint and muscle issues. I don't know if you see the problem or not, so I'm going to explain it to you. These videos did not attract their audience I was intended for. It was intended for Zoomer Doomer Boomers
that to say stuff like, ooh, Gen Alpha sucks. Gen Alpha so stupid. Our childhood was better. But instead, it attracted a bunch of kids that were born in 2014 to say stuff like, ooh, thank God I didn't grow up this way, or, oh, my childhood really sucked after watching this video, I just found that out. Except that last one, that one was slightly different. The comment sections usually consist of, like I said, kids born in 2014 to say stuff like, oh, well, I'm Gen Alpha, but I didn't grow up this way, or, ooh, I'm Gen Alpha and my life really sucked, or, ooh, I'm Gen Z and my life was better than all Gen Alphas, and I think Generation Alpha is doomed because they like to watch Skibbity Toilet. These types of videos are made by dumb people to attract even dumber people, or just really young kids. So since these types of YouTubers get over 1 billion views on the daily, how about I make my own type of smoking stickman content? Maybe I'll get even more views. Alright, so we all been high before, right? So like basically, me and my homie, basically he bought some like Sid Pat cigarette, and like he put some Lolly Ranchers in that thing, and then like we started smoking, and then when we went back to my house, my mama started whooping me. And she hit me with a hammer because she felt that I was high. Anyway, here are the type of kids in high school. Did I fail to mention?